Hello everyone, welcome here to the SRI Performance Facebook page. As this next couple of weeks, we're going to be welcoming a multitude of drivers and performers here representing the SRI banner here at our location here in Mooresville, North Carolina. This week we'll be highlighting two competitors that are both racing in this weekend's 7th Annual World Short Track Championships at the Dirt Track at Charlotte. And today, joining us, a young kid, 15 years old. He has a humongous ceiling in the dirt racing world. He'll be competing in this Northeast Sportsman Modified, sitting right behind us, and it will definitely be a favorite to bring home that checkered flag. 15-year-old Derrick McGrew Jr. Derrick, thank you for making the trip down here to Mooresville, North Carolina. It's got to be good for you here to be here at SRI Performance, getting ready for this weekend's big event.
Definitely, I'm happy to be here and happy to go and see everybody again.
So, Derrick, I want to kind of get to know you and let all of our fans at SRI Performance get to know you. And I'll kind of explain why we help you out, because we know you have a bright future in racing. But how did this whole racing career for you get started and led you up to today?
My dad's been around it since he was little, and my grandfather, he's been in the sport for forever, and he passed away 2 years ago. But my dad carried it on. He's been doing it ever since, and I kind of just grew into it, and been at it ever since.
What was your first race car or go-kart?
Go-kart.
How old was you when you started that one?
4 years old.
4 years old.
Yeah, we had to do a little bit of speaking of the birth certificate, but
Was you potty trained before you knew how to drive, or how did that work? That's real young to real start racing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was potty trained.
So, how did that early run there in go-karts go? How was it learning the ropes? Because like I said, you're 4 years old. Harder to comprehend what some stuff they're saying more compared to what you are now. But how did that early transition start getting into racing?
Having my dad there by my side definitely made it a ton much easier on me as a driver too, and having him to be able to be there for me, to mentor me, through the ranks, and it definitely helped. And it's kind of kept growing as a team, a father-son team, and just been at it ever since, and just keep progressing along.
So I've heard you had pretty good success in go-karts. So what's some of the highlights there of the go-kart career?
So we started around our area back in upstate New York when I was 4 or 5 years old. And I think around when I turned 8 years old, we started traveling all up and down the East Coast and up to down here in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and we started traveling touring all the series down in that area, and we had a lot of we made a lot of memories doing that. Back when I was young, and it's definitely special.
So you talked about racing up north and down south, but man, I've heard a story. You went and raced down under in Australia in a go-kart. I gotta hear this story, man.
Yeah, we were just talking about that a second ago. We got invited over there 2017. Kind of kept in contact with a couple of friends we met online down there, and I just went from there. We got down there and we ended up staying with them, and ever since then it's kind of just, we're like a race family. And they actually came down here a few years ago, and he raced with me. The people I raced down there for came back over here, and he raced for me. And we went down and raced for a couple weekends together, and had a blast.
How'd you do down there?
We actually won. We ran 2 divisions. We won the first one, and I think we finished 3rd in the other one.
You was pretty young at the time, so you might not remember it to a T, but was it kind of a culture shock going down there, running against the Aussies compared to racing here?
Yes and no. Just to be down there was awesome. Be able to meet those type of people. It's definitely a different, scenery, and it was definitely a sight to see.
So you go down there, you've won all around the country, you've won across the pond in Australia. So what made you decide, you know what, I've done all I can do with go-karts. What made you decide to move up to one of these puppy tracks?
We didn't really plan on moving up to these so young. I was 10 years old. We kind of planned on when I turned 14 or 16. I think that was the age when, back then that you were allowed to move in the cars. So, we kind of planned on, staying in the go-karts and still touring and traveling and, keep accomplishing things in the go-karts. And then, when I got old enough to be able to move in the big cars, but they surprised us and said I was able to move in these when I was 10 years old. So that was definitely pretty cool. And we planned on going out there the first year, having that much of a head start. We planned out there, just going out and getting laps and, learning. By the time I turned 14, maybe win a couple of races. But I actually went out there the first year and knocked down, I think, 16 wins and 2 track championships. So that was pretty awesome. And those plans were right out there and we just kept going from there.
So the learning curve come pretty easy for you moving into a car, but what was probably the steepest learning curve going from the go-kart to these race cars?
I don't really know, but I know the biggest learning curve with these cars, you know, when I moved into these, I had the crate motor in the car, and then when I turned 12 years old, I moved into the big block modifieds, which you got a lot more horsepower there, and there's a lot to learn. Definitely, even with the caliber of drivers you're racing against is crazy. You know, they have so much respect for you, and being able to have people like that, you know, Stuart Friesen, I know SRI is a part of his racing career, and being able to have him there to mentor me, and you know, learn off what, you know, his mistakes, and he tries to, you know, be there for me and help me along the way.
So 10 years old around here, we had the Young Guns division. I would run the 4-cylinder. We was running against kids my age though. For you to be 10 to 12 years old and running against some of these experienced drivers, let's say in the big blocks, you're racing against Matt Shepard, Barrett Hearn, Matt Williamson, all these people. Has it ever been intimidating being such a young kid racing against some of these grizzled veterans?
You definitely get a little nervous, you know what I mean? But just be able to have those guys out there and you know that they're going to race with respect every time you hit the racetrack is definitely, you know, a comfortable feeling. And you should also be able to have them there, you know, to learn off of and have there if you have any questions for them, you know, them to help you out is pretty cool.
Is there any of them drivers you kind of leaned on for advice and maybe teach you a little bit of not only dirt lessons but little life lessons as well?
Definitely Stuart Friesen. You know, I've been over this trailer a lot. We have a relationship off the track too. If I have any sort of life question or something, I'm sure he'd be there to help me out, and be able to have that is definitely, you know, a big part of it.
What's been some of your fondest memories behind the wheel of the Northeast Modified? Of course, you've won track championships at Fonda, Glenridge, Albany, Saratoga. Like, what's been some of your best memories behind the wheel of these modifieds?
One of my favorites is when I got one of my first wins in this car in the Motorsports. Went down to turn 3 and 4 on the last lap, and you know, the leader had a couple car lines on me, and I didn't think I was going to make it, and unfortunately he broke coming out of turn 4, and right in front of the checkered flag, and I maneuvered around him and drove over top of his race car to win the race. So that was pretty exciting, and you know, that's definitely something to remember.
You are good, but sometimes it's better to be lucky than good in these situations. What did that first win mean to you there? After all the hard work through there.
You know, my dad was, you know, super ecstatic. He was, you know, more than happy to be able to see me succeed in this type of car at so young of an age and be able to, you know, make history is pretty awesome.
So you've made your way up through the sportsman's. You've run big blocks, but now you're back in the sportsman this week. Do you have to adjust your mind? Hey, don't have as much power. I'm running a big track where momentum is definitely going to be key. You got to adjust your mind a little bit to go from the big block to these sportsman modifieds.
Oh, definitely. You got to be able to watch out too. You know, not saying that there's not good race car drivers in the crate division, but you know, big block guys, they're really talented, and you know, they've been at it for a while, and they do treat you with a little more respect. So you also got to watch out for some of those guys that they'll move you around, and they're not afraid to. So you got to be able to give it back to them and know what's coming.
That's why you need to be up front. Second place is going to know every employee's names.
Exactly.
Thank you to all that. He's got all of our employee names draped across the back of this beautiful modified here. So you're 15 years old. You still have a long career ahead of you. Working your way up. Where do you see your career going? What's going to be? There's a large ceiling for you, but what's probably going to be the peak for you? What do you expect for your career to go after this? From us sitting right here right now.
You know, I'm not really sure. You know, we got a long ways ahead of us. You know, one of my dreams is to be able to race Super Late models one day and tour like the Lucas Oil and the Outlaw Series. And you know, if I got an opportunity to run on asphalt, I definitely would take it. I'd like to be able to do kind of what Kyle Larson does. You know, he jumps back and forth between dirt and asphalt, and he seems like he's enjoying it. So I'd love to be able to do what he is.
So you talked about the big block transition, kind of like a Tim McGrew plan is what you're thinking, maybe going straight to the late models after this. But how much of a ceiling do you have with these cars? Do you expect maybe to run the Super DIRTcar series or the short track Super Series one day?
Oh, definitely. We actually toured the series a little bit last year when I had the big block in the car, and be able to accomplish some of the things we did out there was pretty cool. Race against, you know, those caliber of drivers is awesome. To be able to learn off some of the things you see them do is pretty cool, and hopefully we keep getting more exposure, especially coming down here this week. Is definitely build a little bit of our exposure and our fan base, and hopefully open some eyes and opens up some new opportunities for us.
Being 15 years old, the exposure's got to be everything. You're going out and running these big races. If you don't win, you put on a show, get exposure not only for yourself but for your sponsors. That's got to mean a lot more to propel your career.
Oh, definitely. Being able to have SRI on board is definitely a big part of it. You know, the amount of the fan base and the exposure and the connections they have down in this area is really, really good to be able to have for a young driver like me. And hopefully we can get our name out there more in this end of the the racing world, and you never know.
That's another question I was going to ask. How has really SRI and Stock Car Steel really helped elevate your career to what it is today, Derrick? And of course, we have a lot of plans in the future with you. So how have they really helped elevate your career to what it is today?
I don't know what the future holds, but SRI has been, like I said, a big part of it, and the connections is really important. And I was talking to Randy a little bit earlier about it. It goes way past parts and all this stuff. Just to be able to have you guys, and especially doing something like that in the back of the car, is really special to me. And be able to have you guys, root for me this week is pretty awesome. And hopefully we can keep it going.
Yeah, it's a lot of exposure, even rolling the car in here. Hey, got your picture took with front row Joe. Joe Nemechek was out there. Got your picture took with him. I know definitely somebody, you're the next generation of sport. You can maybe be up to where he is then. So, but let's focus. We talked about the future. Let's focus on the now. We got this weekend coming up, the 7th Annual World Short Track Championship at the Dirt Track at Charlotte, America's Home for Racing. What are your expectations for this weekend, Derrick? I know you want to win, but what's the expectations on this next generation in SRI number 26?
Like any driver, you want to be able to go out there and win this weekend. That's kind of our main focus, and just be able to expose all of our sponsors, especially SRI, while we're out here, and make connections and network with a bunch of people that are out here, and making a name for myself.
How do you treat Charlotte compared to some of your tracks up north? It's a different clay compound, a different atmosphere. You must say it's a huge atmosphere down here. Are you carrying yourself a little different going into this weekend? Not only setup-wise and car-wise, but Derrick McGrew mind-wise.
Well, definitely. It's definitely pretty cool to be down here, but I feel like this track doesn't race our type of cars as well, just being so wide and so big of a racetrack. Yeah, it's good for super late models and sprint cars, but it's definitely pretty cool to be able to experience a racetrack like this, and I can't wait to get out there.
There isn't really no tracks comparable to it. You just got to kind of take this notebook and throw it out the window, though.
Exactly, but our setup usually transfers over to most tracks. You got to tweak it just like anything else, but we'll learn every time we get the racetrack.
So you're here down here, and of course we're talking about SRI. You thank us, glad to have you part of the team, but who's some other partners that really helped you on this point?
Chad and his team of next year people came on board this year, and have been a big help this year for us. Randy being able to have the connections he does, and hook us up out with racing products, which we can't thank them enough for what they do for us. And the guys back at BCAM Fabrications, they give us a place to work on the car during the week, and we work out of their shop. So having them there for us and be there for anything we need is definitely a huge help. Having Earl on board, Earl and Race Engines, he's in this area. Him as well. Almost Food Supply, Elvis Construction, CBC Auto Sales, Dave Thompson, Natural Bridge Speedway, Tiger Race Shocks, Really Gets the Joints, and all of our product sponsors and everybody that's on board with us, and all my fans and supporters. We just couldn't do without all those guys.
Well, of course, this is young Derrick McGrew Jr., 15 years old. You can catch him running with the rest of the Northeast Sportsman Modifieds, along with UMP Modifieds, Pro Late Models, Northeast Pro Stock, 602 Crate Late Models and Modifieds, Street Stocks, Mini Stocks, Front Wheel Drive, and making their World Short Track debut, the SRI Thunder Bombers. They're going to put on one heck of a show on the 4/10 mile down there in Concord, North Carolina. So this is Derrick McGrew Jr. We might even going to get his dad in here. Maybe ask him a little question, maybe pick his brain a little bit. So stay tuned here on the SRI Performance Facebook page. So again, everybody, while we're making a switch for any of your parts and needs, go to sriperformance.com or come see us here at 122 Nob Hill Road here in Race City, USA, Mooresville, North Carolina itself. We carry a lot of things. We're the main provider for Draco Springs. Got Walker air filters. We're a great dealer for 5-star bodies. And of course, we help everybody out from your average Joe. A lot of people come here for boat stuff. We help out all your dirt cars, all the way from the local street stock to the super late model, to the sprint car, even some asphalt late model stocks. We're even the main provider for the NASCAR Next Gen car at our Next Gen warehouse. Again, go look us up or give us a call, 704-662-6982, or look us up on all of our social media platforms at SRI Performance, and sriperformance.com. Is now joining us here, Mr. Derrick McGrew. And Derrick, first question I'm going to ask, I'm going to let you reflect a little bit. As you're sitting here today, you've had your race career, you've had great success, but to see your son, car put on display, all the exposure you're getting into, this has to mean more to you than anything you did in your race career to watch your son do everything he's done.
Yeah, for sure. It made it a lot easier for me to, step out of the seat. We had just come off winning a championship, and so I had to think about it. It made it a lot easier to be able to know that, some of the work, the hard work I put in over the years, I might not have seen the rewards of it in my career, but to see some of it come out now and be able to help my son in his career, it definitely makes all that hard work and all that, those restless nights and those unsure moments when I was trying to come up, not knowing what the future holds, to know that this is where we are now. I would never thought that was in my plans. I didn't know if I was going to have a kid. To have one and to have him doing what he's doing so early in his career is pretty cool, and to have him be surrounded with good people like SRI and everybody that works here, and all of our other sponsors and people that believe in him, it's unbelievable, really. I dreamed of being in this position when I was younger, coming up, and I wasn't able to be in this position as a driver, but now I'm in this position as a father, and hopefully we just can continue doing what we're doing, and he can keep working hard, and hopefully all these connections and all this hard work pays off, and he can end up being where he wants to be, whether it's Derrick McGrew or who knows, one day Kyle Larson. But if he can keep doing what he's doing, enjoy what he's doing, and be involved in the motorsports industry, you never know what the future has in store, but if he's happy and around good people and doing good things, I'm proud of that.
So, of course, you had a different upbringing trying to get into racing. Explain some of that, how hard it was for you to really get involved in. What are some of the life lessons you have taught there along the way through some of your experiences, not only as a racer, but now as a father and a parent, now trying to bestow the next generation of McGrew onto them in racing?
I think one of the biggest things is, winning races and doing good in the car is important, but I believe that what's even more important is being somebody that a company like SRI would want to put their name on outside of the race car.
Mm-hmm.
When I started, I was a crew guy, then I was crew chief, and then when I started racing, I didn't have much help. I had my buddies that came to work on the car with me, helped me at the track, but I didn't think twice about mixing it up, and if we had a problem off the racetrack, we could mix it up out the racetrack. So it was a different time back then, and I didn't that thought process about you always wanted the good sponsors and stuff, but you had guys like Brett Hurden that would carry themselves at a different level, just like Matt Shepard and Stuart Friesen do today. But learning, making mistakes, and learning, trying to teach my son not to do that, and to have guys like Stuart Friesen and Matt Shepard be comfortable to race side by side with him, respect him as a driver, and respect him as a race car driver off the track. It's pretty cool, and to see how he holds himself off the track and how he represents his sponsors. It's sometimes I feel like that might be doing okay.
So, like you said, you come off winning a championship. What was really the deciding factor to say, hey, I'm going to step aside, hang up the helmet, and let's start the next generation, start history? How did that decision come about?
I was driving for Mike Brillo, and I'd driven for him years before that. We won a bunch of races, and he called me up one day and said he wanted to be back racing. So I said, okay, let's go. And went by my car, we went out, we won some races, won a championship. And at the time, he was running all up and down the East Coast, and I'd race on my car, and I told him this, and I got to make a decision. I was where I was. I was 40 years old, and I didn't do everything I wanted to do, but I'd done more than I ever thought I would do, and I just figured, it was time to see what he could do if I gave it 110%. And we found a guy to replace me in his car, who's gone on and won some championship for him, runs great. And when we went out that first year, we set a 5-year goal, and we blew it out of the water the first 3 weeks of racing, and then went on and won a bunch of races. So I made my decision settle a lot easier. And so that I made the right decision. Now we can. I'm not done. I'm gonna race again. I ran once this year, and that's one of the things I tell them all the time. As a father, we'll get going at each other. And I'll tell them, listen, I'm still the car owner. I'll argue it out. My suit's in the trailer all the time, and you can just about fit in this seat. So it's we have fun like that. But that's one of my go-tos if he's not acting right.
So, I was going to ask you a question, but now it brings up another one. How do you think he is up to you in the driving category? Has he caught up to you, or maybe even past you, or how's that little chart going there? Who still maybe have the upper hand if we put both of these cars out there in Charlotte this Saturday? We have head to head.
Well, you're going to see both these cars out here one time. But as a dad, of course, I'm going to tell you I still got it. I guess I got to put it in. But I don't know. He's way beyond where I thought he'd be, and what he does in the race car when he moves up the big blocks. Unfortunately, blew up all our motors. But he does it. He takes care of the car. I used to use it up a little bit. I'm glad he doesn't do what I did. But I think there's a chance he might have the upper hand. But until the day comes that he actually can prove it, when we're side by side, and he outright beats me, I'm still going to go with that. I'm the man.
So what was putting a suit up, going to a car owner / dad crew chief? What's the biggest learning curve for you? Kind of changing roles as in this racing history, now as your son's racing.
Well, I was a crew chief before I was a driver, so the crew chief part of it it's not hard to be able to watch the car. The hardest part as a dad crew chief car owner is the dad part, and I'm sure it's the same with him. To where when he comes off the track, when we talk to each other, when your dad tells you something you don't really want to listen to him, right? So we kind of butt heads a little bit, and I get really frustrated. And we're together all the time, so it's not just like we're together sometimes. We're together every day. It's homeschool. He's got his own business. I help with that racing. So the dad part where you butt heads, and he doesn't want to listen to hear what his dad's saying, and I don't want to. He might get out of the car and be a little excited. Might raise his voice a little bit, and that's driving me crazy. And I'm down mad, but we get through it. But I think when the day comes where we have a crew chief that's not dad, I think we can do even better. So I'm definitely willing to take myself out of that role, and I love to take myself out of the car role too, and just be a dad. But I've never been able to do that, since go-karts all the way up. I've always been, dad, coaching car owner, and just trying to teach him little things. It was not easy with go-karts, they come in and tell me how to loosen the tight car, like just loosen the seal tight. But now I'm trying to teach him how to, translate things in one car, and we don't talk guys with Stu and Matt, and all those guys, and have all the guys at BKM. Where this year, his business is seasonal, so he's going to work at BKM for the winter, building race cars. Just so he can start learning even more. And just the more knowledge you get, the better he's going to be. But the dad part of the crew chief and stuff is the hardest part.
What has been your fondest moment as a father? What has been one of the moments he has led you to some maybe the success he's had? What's been the fondest moment for you as a dad? What's been the highlight so far of your basically car owner and dad career as he is making his way to the rank?
All his wins are, when you racing, when you win your first race, that feeling you get, you're always chasing that feeling. So you're chasing that high. And as a driver, when I won my first race, I could never get it. Yeah. So you keep chasing it, and it's an addiction. But you keep going, trying to get it, and you never get that feeling again. But when he won his first race, that was that feeling. But when he wins any race, I get that same feeling, that same first win feeling every time he wins. So they're all special. So it's not any one race in particular. That one where it went over the firehouse, crazy, and won it. But I think the biggest thing for me is knowing as a dad that guys like Stuart Friesen and Matt Shepard respect him as a driver so much. There was a time at before where we missed the show by a spot. Matt Shepard blew up. He walked by a lot of stacker trailers with double cars in the trailer with a lot of money behind him. He came to us and asked if he could race our car that night and feature. I thought to myself, it made me feel good as a crew chief too, that he walked by all these big teams to come ask us if we drive our car, and to watch him drive it from 30th position up into the top 10 and almost to the top 5, made me feel real good. And so to have guys like that respect him and know that he's got it and the type of person he is, that's probably my biggest treasure.
You said you was chasing that high for your first win, and then when he comes along, you're getting that every week. But you got to admit, that first win he got, was that maybe a little bit more of a high than your first win? Because you're a dad and just was one team.
Oh, definitely. That first one came at Honda Speedway, and it was a track that he never even really been to. Big half mile track. We had gone there just to practice that night, and he went out there. And I don't know if you're familiar with Timmy Fuller, but he's one of the top
late model guys.
Yeah.
Not Timmy.
he's one of the top guys, in the dirt mods I've seen. And I've known Timmy since he started when I was crew chief. And I was standing at Honda, sitting next to him talking, and we always joke around. And he looked at me, he says, "We're watching the feature, and it was halfway through, and he was leaving, and he was pulling away." I got really quiet. Because that's when I was maybe 4 or 5 years to win. But I got really quiet. He was talking to me, and he said, "I'm going to watch the 10-year-old kid win a race here." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know. Don't talk to me. I don't know what to say right now. I'm ready to cry. I'm full of excitement." And he won, and to have a guy Timmy Fuller sit there with me and kind of share that experience, he was kind of dumbfounded that looked at him, what he didn't see, and so was I, and I'm wanting to cry, and I don't cry, but
you're tearing up as a speaker.
Yeah,
I know that's a lot.
Yeah, and it's
still emotional.
Yeah, and stuff like that. That's I didn't cry my first win,
Yeah.
So that's just how it is, and that's why I say you get that feeling every time he wins. Or when you're driving, you got that feeling at one time, and you could never get that feeling again.
So, we're coming into this. You got a pretty experienced driver in your hands now. What's the expectations for you? We've heard his. What's your expectations going into this weekend here at Track Charlotte?
Well, we want to win. That's definitely,
Number one on top of the list, though.
Yeah, we came here to win. Everyone comes here to win. And hopefully, I don't doubt his driving. I'm 100% confident what he does. I just hope that, we've been doing a lot of R&D with the DKM guys since we've been back here running the crate. And some of the stuff has been good, some of the stuff hasn't. We go back to the drawing board. But we changed a lot of stuff for this week. I think it's going to be good. And hopefully we can come down here and we win and not only put him up on the podium, but put DKM up on the podium as a winner. They were there last year with Dave Rogers, with DKM won. And our first time here when he was 11, we finished third. But we definitely want to win and represent for all of our marketing partners and show not only what he's got, but what DKM brings to the table for any other driver that might be looking for race time.
Yes, you said you love your partnership with SRI. It really gave you some avenues and helped you out with people that's really helped him along the way. But of course, winning that race with SRI and all these partners on the side, that'll give you more exposure than you've ever had, especially even this interview. You never know how far it could go.
No, for sure. And with Randy Keene, when we built the relationship with Randy, it had nothing to do with SRI or Stockman Steel or any other marketing partner. We just built a friendship. And by building that friendship, we were able to meet some of the people that Randy knew with SRI came along, PFC, World Race Engines, Outbreak Race Cars, people that we went on our own, met through Randy and built relationships with these people, and the friendships that we made, and Greg, you, everybody else here at SRI, that's what's important. That's why we did what we did on the back of the car for all the employees. Because a lot of times they only see your face or Josh's or Randy's. But and some people get pretty, oh, that's right, that's SRI. But you know, having that relationship, I was admitting, SRI is a lot bigger than just them. You know, SRI, they're there because of the people that are in the back, stocking the shelf, you know, tagging parts, you know, and those are people that, you know, hopefully, if my son makes it to the Kyle Larson status, that guy that's stocking parts in the back can say, hey, that's my buddy Derrick, you know, because we have that relationship, and we just wanted to show them, and we appreciate what they do just as much as we appreciate what you do, Randy does, Sasha. You know, they're as important to us as everybody is here, you know. Without them, there would be no SRI. So hopefully everybody here really appreciates that, likes that. You know, that was definitely from the heart, and we just want everyone to know that, you know, we appreciate that as much as everybody else.
Hopefully, the second place will remain more than anybody. We're all up front this week.
I hope so. I hope there's someone back there that knows every single person here at SRI, because they had to follow that around for 30 laps. And that'll be that. You know, if we can introduce the entire SRI team to the second place finisher this week, that'll be a great week.
Again, Derrick's done it once, but never hurts to shout out your sponsor squash, everybody that helps you out. Who's really helping out on this 26 machine? Who's some of your best partners?
Well, DCAM's been with Derrick from day one. We had a little hiccup in our partnership because only, I think, of course, only me and Dave were almost best friends for a long time. So we're butt heads for a while, for about a half a season.
No, for good for us.
Yeah, you know, it's because we were such good friends. But because we were, didn't take much for us to get past that.
Yeah.
But they were still part of us even when we were butting heads. And it's because of friendship. But, you know, besides that, you know, like Chad Gregory and his team at Next Generation Roofing, they're huge. They're huge help. And not just as a marketing partner, but as a friend. And I would say, construction, outpatient products, goods and interiors, heavily against spa. Earl Rainey, got it, you know, they treat Derrick like he's his own, he's their kid. Eric Roscoe. Natural Bridge Speedway, you know, these people are family. You know, Jamie Coyle, CQC, when he was doing regular school, he got bonus sponsorship for report card days.
Yeah.
You know, so they don't, our marketing partners, sponsors, they're not just here to give him money to go race races. They're trying to build him to be a good person.
Yeah.
You know, they help him with his business. He's got his own business, Derrick McGrew Jr. Property Services. They mentor him on the business side of things, the things they've learned through business. They mentor him and try to be a good person. So that helps me as a dad, because I know what, we have all these other people, Chad, JD, you know, Brandon, Earl, the guys at DCAM, Johnny, Dave, Eric, everyone, Travis. They want him to be successful in life, not just on the racetrack. And I think that gets forgotten sometimes, and people are always after, what can you give me? You know, what part can SRI give me?
Yeah.
You know, and that the part that lasts till breaks. It's the personal relationship that will last a lifetime. You know, in 10 years from now, if we're broken down on the side of the road, I give you a call, you know, for you to hop in your truck and help us out.
Yeah.
That's more important than you give me a free wheel. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But I think a lot of people don't see that, and they worry about the right now, not the down the road. And right now works right now, but down the road works for a lifetime. So that's what we're trying to do with all of our marketing partners. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But the ones that does work with stick by your side. And whether you're up there winning races and you go through a season like we've had this year, which we've worked harder than we ever have, and we just have had the worst luck. We blew up 2 big black motors. You know, we went from high to low, and there was a time this season where, you know, I wasn't even sure if we were going to be able to keep racing. We took a couple weeks off because our motors were blown up. We were done.
Yeah.
And didn't know what we were going to do. But we kept our head down and digging and said, okay, you know what, we're going to put a crane in the car and get out there and race, and hopefully we can get some steam going and get back to where we can get more big blocks and get back to where we know we can be. But in the meantime, the crate class has a ton of talent. ton of talent, and everyone's got pretty much the same motor. So in some ways it's tougher, but in other ways it's tough because there is some inexperience, and the level of caliber of drivers you have is, the top guys are great, but then the new guys and the guys that might not be there, they make it tough sometimes.
Yeah. So Derrick, you want to come around and walk here? This has been Derrick McGrew and Derrick McGrew Jr. here at SRI Performance in Mooresville, North Carolina. You can catch them and the rest of the Northeast Modified drivers running at the dirt track in Charlotte for the 7th Annual World Short Track Championship. Look at this, father and son combination. How can you not pull for them this weekend, the dirt track at Charlotte? Of course, you have the Northeast Modifieds, UP Modifieds, Pro Late Models, Northeast Pro Stock, 602 Crate, and Modifieds, Street Stocks, Mini Stocks, Front Wheel Drive, and of course, the SRI Thunder Bombers making their debut again for Derrick McGrew Jr., Derrick McGrew. I'm Blake Harris. For all of us here at SRI Performance, hope you have a great day, and we will see you at the races.